Greetings, I am Tom Earl, and this is my year of adventure. I know you could be anywhere, so the fact that you are here today sharing your greatest gifts, your time and energy, means the world to me. I hope you know that in this moment, you are valued, you are loved, and you are appreciated just as you are. Welcome to episode 6 of Gifts for My Child. If you listened last week, you might have heard me say this is the second to last episode. I said that last week. That was incorrect. I had miscounted. Lack of sleep and such. This is actually the second to last. There's going to be 7 episodes altogether. If you haven't checked out the first 2 episodes, I want to strongly recommend that you go back, listen to episode 1. It's Adora and I sat down the day before Jayanma was born, and we explained what these episodes were about. We talked. It was awesome. Episode 2 then shares the intention behind interviewing people I know, friends, people I care about. So I highly recommend that you go back, listen to episodes 1 and 2 if you haven't already. If you've been listening all along the way, it means the world to me. I'm so grateful to have you be a part of my community and Jayanma's community. I'd love, honestly, any additional thoughts you have of questions I ask people, send them my way, tom@tomearl.com, @tomearlartist is on my social media. Doesn't matter if you're a parent, if you have any kids in your life, if you've never met a child in the entire world, you're like, what's a baby? If something I ask, if you're like, I have some insight, send me it. I'd love to add that to the knowledge I have, to the community I have. So without further ado, let me just get out of the way and let's jump right in to episode 6 of Gifts for My Child. Enjoy. Well, Alex, I want to thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of this. So welcome.
Hi, thank you.
So why don't you introduce yourself to baby and sharing whatever part of your name you'd like, whether it's just your first, your full, or a nickname, whatever you'd like. But then if you could also share, what does your name mean to you?
Of course. Hi, baby. My name is Alex. My full name is Alexandra, and my mom named all of my siblings and I after heroes from Greco-Roman mythology, which has nothing to do with any of my bloodlines, but has always captivated my heart and my mind since I was very little. And so my name is based on Alexander the Great, but in Roman times was used for just any girl that they thought was going to be brave and bold and a lot of big words that I don't know I live up to, and really focused on just being a warrior. And so even though Alexandra is a very feminine name, I am not always very feminine. And so to me, my name is a lot of things. It has almost nothing to do with the fact that a lot of people see me as a girl, or that I am viewed as a woman, or even a big, brave, strong woman. It has a lot to do with the fact that it is a gift from a family member that I love very much, my mom. And that it reminds me of just so much love and so much care. My mom cared so much about me that she gave this to me. She gave me this whole 9-letter name. It's really, really big. It was the first thing I learned how to spell. I want a spelling bee with it. And she gave it to me to hold, and she said, hey, don't drop this. And so I felt like I never could. But then I learned I could maybe shorten it. I could lighten it a little bit, make it something that was easier for me to carry. And so your parents love you very much. And even if they give you your name and it doesn't always feel like it's the best fit, know that you can probably do the same thing.
I love
I don't know
that.
if that was good.
That was amazing. That was amazing. It's a reminder of why I like to start with that question, because you just never know what's going to come up. So I appreciate that. We live in an interesting time in the year 2020.
Yep, that's a word for it. Yes.
So this was the year that baby chose to be born into. What would you like to invite them to be aware of or to remember? Or what would you like a baby being born in 2020 to, what would you like to share with them?
Oh, this might sound very dark, but I don't mean it. Okay, I'm just going to say, a baby being born into 2020 should be aware of the fact that the earth will survive human beings, and that is okay. I think we focus very much, and it's very easy in a year like 2020 where human machinations are just everywhere. You can see sort of the world that we've built before us. You can also see where it's starting to crumble a little bit at the base. And so it is very important to remember, even as you grow older, in a world that will definitely be more chaotic, that the earth will survive us, and that is one of the most beautiful things imaginable. That even though human beings may not do for one another the way they should, the earth will always do for herself and her creation, including us, the way that we have earned. Full stop. And that is such a source of comfort. It should be seen as such a source of comfort. And it should also be seen as a reminder to treat people and animals and everything else that is alive with that same respect.
I appreciate that. So, baby, I know you're listening right now. Alex, one of the ways or passions that Alex has found and way that Alex, serves and shares their gifts with the world is through the studying and facilitation of interfaith. So, Alex, maybe if you could share a little bit what you see interfaith as, and any suggestions, or baby's going to be coming up in a household where daddy's Muslim, mom's Christian, and so maybe there might be some confusion and some joy and all of these kind of things, and any insights or words of wisdom you want to share to someone who's discovering what their faith means to them.
Oh, wow.
Real easy questions for you today.
Oh yeah, no pressure at all. No pressure, it's totally fine. Oh my goodness. I think I would definitely tell baby, who is listening right now, that faith doesn't need to be something you figure out very, very early on. It's not something that needs to be figured out in a day, in a moment, or even in a lifetime. Faith is something that is kind of like a rubber band. You can just have your dad show you, but when you take two sides of a rubber band and you pull them apart, it gets really, really tense in the middle, but the sides also get really, really close. And then sometimes when things go a little bit slack, sides of those rubber bands move farther away from each other, but they're all part of the same circle. So if you just let it sit in your hand, it looks like a rubber band. You can do this with anything, right? Pull it, and the sides touch, pull it tight, and let it go, and the sides drift apart. And so even if you and your journey to faith are connected to a person, maybe your dad, maybe your mom, maybe somebody else in your life, your identity and your being in that faith moves just like that rubber band or that string. Sometimes it will be so tight that you can barely stand it. The spirit, or whatever you want to call it, will come over you and you will feel it. You will feel out of your body. It is beautiful. And there are also times where it will be a little farther away. And the only time you can really, really see it or feel it is through a book or through a hug from your dad at the end of the long day, or through a kiss from your mom, or a favorite song. But it's always there because you're always a part of it. And it never stops.
I love that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You're doing amazing. This is so beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So at the beginning, you had started to talk a little bit about your name, and you said people see you as, being a woman, and sometimes though you don't feel that. Could you talk a little bit more about that, and share with baby, the pronouns you use and why, and anything around that you're comfortable sharing?
Absolutely. I think let's start with basics, and then I'll probably get lost talking about it. So that'll be a lot of fun. So, baby, my pronouns are they, them. When I walk into space, people don't say Mr. Alex. They don't say Mrs. Alex. They say mix Alex. Pronounced like the word mix, like Chex Mix, kind of cool. And that's because I identify as both gender neutral and non-binary. That means that she and he are like pants that you grew out of when you were 6 months old, 7 years old. Imagine trying to go put those on, and they don't fit. That's what the word she and he feel like to me. And so I use the pronouns they, them, because I see my gender as outside of that binary. It's really, really hard for me to settle on what that should mean or where I should fall. Hopefully by the time you're older, or even by the time you're listening, I'm optimistic. People will be better about that respect. I chose to identify as they, them, because I felt in my heart that the societal explanation for what makes a woman and what makes a man not satisfying enough to me. And so for me, it feels as though I'm demanding more of the people around me, of the institutions that built me, and of the infrastructure that continues to guide me. I use they, them pronouns because it makes people think about the way they are talking to me, and in turn will make people think about the way they talk to others. It can be really hard figuring this out. I think I've said that at least twice, but it is true. Some days you're going to feel like, I don't even know. And that's okay, I think it's very nebulous. And I mean that like a nebula. Just this really fertile ground that gives way to such big ideas and tons of beauty in ways that you can't even imagine. And all that's required is that you walk into the space, into the world, and you tell people who you are. And that could be as a woman, or as a man, or as anything in between. All of that is part of the nebula. And all of it is fertile ground.
I love that. What a blessing that already my child has you in their life. So I want to thank you for that. Two more questions, if that's okay.
Okay.
How you doing?
Yeah, that is.
Okay.
I'm doing great.
So, although our child will have a white father and a black mother,
Mm-hmm.
going throughout the world is going to see our child as black.
Uh-huh.
So, do you have any advice, words of wisdom, reminders, any Black Power invitations that
Mm-hmm.
you'd like to share with our child growing up in America as someone who's Black?
Yeah. Um, whew. To be Black in America is not easy. It can be kind of dangerous, but it is so worth it. And baby, you will know this. You'll know this from the day you're born. You'll know this even if somebody tries to tell you otherwise. It will always be under there because you have parents who will let you know every day. It will always be underneath of everything. Society will try to tell you otherwise, and people around you may tell you otherwise. But baby, you are so blessed to be Black. You are so blessed to be Black. You are so blessed to be covered in melanin and to have a community that has been through hardship, that lives in diaspora, that suffers and loves so hard. You are so blessed to be a part of this community, and you already are. Nobody has to grant it to you. Nobody has to give it to you. It can never be taken away from you. The only reminder I'd like to give you is that you will always be enough, always, for your community. This isn't to say that everybody who is Black is part of that community. There's a lot of tension in spaces because humans are complicated, as you're going to learn. But when you find yourself in that Black community, which once again will be not that difficult for you because you have loving parents who will make sure that you will get there, it will be home like you've never known before. Feels good. And being Black is powerful. It is radical. Being Black demands the best of us, and it demands that we do the best for ourselves and our community. That community is quickly looking like the rest of the globe. So when you look in the mirror, you might feel like this is all really heavy to carry within you, but it's not. All of your cells already got it. That's where all that melanin comes from. All you gotta do is remember.
I love that. That was amazing. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So, here's the prompt for you.
Ooh.
You can turn to me blank. You can turn to me if you need. You can turn to me when. You can always turn to me blank.
Okay. Dave, you can always turn to me when you are filled to the brim, when you are in danger of overflowing, When you have so much joy, you cannot hold it alone. When you have so much despair, think you're sinking. When you have so much fear, you can't take a step forward. Baby, you can reach out to me when your cup is overflowing. I'll carry some of it, and I'll be there to support you. I am the kind of person who loves life. I love life not because it is easy, not because I'm always happy, and not even because I'm always the best at living life. I love it because I fought so hard for it. And I love when other people are fighting for it too. So when you are overflowing, when you're so angry, it comes out of your hands, invisible line. When you are filled with so much love, you can't possibly keep it in your vocal cords. You gotta tell somebody else. And when you are filled with such purpose that you have to let the whole world know, call me first. Let me love life with you. We'll love all of it. The hard parts, the sad ones, and the glorious ones. Turn to me, Unica.
I love that. Thank you. Last,
You're welcome.
last question, as I end everything with. What's your invitation to baby? What would you like to invite them to do, to be, to consider, to think about? What's your invitation?
Oh my gosh. Whew. Well, I think I would like to put forth for consideration to baby the importance of listening. The importance of listening. Yeah. I am just now getting to a point in my life where I realize how important it is to listen to my elders specifically. My grandparents are some of the most amazing people with the most interesting lives. The way they tell it, they haven't done anything but had 2 kids, raised them, worked their careers, retired. But when I sat down and listened to them, all of the things they skipped in between, I couldn't believe my ears. And as I become more aware of time and of my own relationship to it, I think I find more solace and strength in listening to people I love who are older than me. Not listening to them to obey or to have them tell me what to do. I don't mean listen the way that a school teacher might mean listen. I mean, I just like to hear them talk. I love their stories. And I'd urge you to consider doing the same thing. Listen to the people around you Listen to your mom, your dad. They both have brilliant stories. And listen to them like they're not just mom and dad. Listen to them because they're beautiful. All of the experiences that people live are beautiful. And I think it's important to hear other people talk about it. And it might make you feel better too.
Thank you so very, very much, Alex. I'm so grateful that you're a part of my family's world and that my child can reach out to you as part of their community. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so excited for you guys.
Same here. Oh, wonderful. Well, Dermot, thank you so much for being a part of this. It really means the world to me. Thank you.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, definitely. So the way we'd like you to start is if you could introduce yourself to Baby by sharing your name and what your name means to you or the story of your name.
Hi, Baby. Hopefully we'll know your name soon. My name is Dermot Damien Gibbons. And an interesting story about my name is it's extremely unusual. And I've only actually met one other person with this name, and I just met them maybe 1 month ago. It's an Irish name. Both names, Dermot and Damien, are Irish. And the pronunciation in Irish is Dermot. So when people see it, they say, Dermot. And I go, nope, that's not my name, because I'm obviously not Irish. Well, I could be, I guess. But but my mother was Catholic. Both my parents were Catholic. And so when they were getting married, they named me after a priest who was Irish. And I don't know who the priest was or what. It could have been the priest that married them. I don't know. I never got the story, but all my life I've been called, and I pronounce it Dermot now that I'm in California. My family calls me what's the pronunciation? I can't even pronounce Dermot. My brother, they call me Dermot. That's when I was growing up. That's what people say. Dermot. I had a grandfather who always called me Lamont for all of his life. So I never get to correct people, whatever they call me, except certain people I'll correct them and say, no, it's Dermot. And I make them pronounce it. But I'm not caught up in how people pronounce it or whatever. And that's kind of the story of my weird, unusual name. But I also have, my middle name is Damien with an A. And when you get older, you may know there's a famous movie of Damien with an E, who is the devil child. And people think that, when you say Damien, ooh, wow. But my son, who is now 19 years old, and you'll get to meet, hopefully, his first name is Damien with an A. So that's Dermot Damien. Oh, interesting. Givens. Your father is dying because I'm probably talking too much right now. Just one question. But I want to tell you all this because when you see it, it might make sense. You might go, oh, who's that crazy guy? I don't want to hear all this story. So, but our last name is Givens, and the story behind that is my grandfather, Givens, was half white, half black. And back then it was very bad to be mixed race in the United States. So he changed his name from McGowan, which was his father's name, to Givens for some reason. And he was an only child. When he married my grandmother, she became Mrs. Givens. They had one child who was my father, who was Howard Givens. Then my grandparents got divorced, And my grandmother got remarried and she became a Jackson. And my grandfather died when I was like 2 or 3 years old. And so we never had, so the only Givens in our family was my father, my mother, I have an older brother, and myself. So we were the only 4 people in the world who were related with our name being Givens. So when people say, oh, we know Givens are not related to them. Well, you don't even know who I'm asking about. I don't care. Don't know them. Not related to us. So, but now my brother has sons and I have a son. So the Givens, our family name is growing, but that's the history of Dermot Damien Givens.
And
Sorry, Mom.
No, I'm not mad at all. I love storytelling. So I love getting to hear that you know that, That's wonderful. So what would you like to share? We can just start off right off. Is there anything from your heart that you want to share with baby that you'd like to speak to?
Okay, baby, you will know how special you are because you have 2 very, very special parents. And you will just know this once you get here. You'll know. That's all I want to say.
I like that. That's a good place to start. And thanks for coming. So you're also a lawyer.
Yes.
And you do a particular kind of law where you're helping people out, unless that's since changed.
Yes.
There's so many ways you can do law where you don't necessarily help people out, but you get tons and tons of money. But you've chosen to serve. What inspired you to, with all the opportunities you have to serve, to lead with service?
Well, I mentioned my grandmother, my father's mother, whose name was Arkansas Braswell Givens Jackson. She lived to be 100 years old and died maybe 4 years ago and was my best friend and the wisest person I ever knew. And she was always helping people. She was the oldest of her family and helped everybody and was a leader in the community and a leader in the city. We grew up in Detroit, Michigan. And she was extremely involved in the civil rights movement, which at a certain point in your life you'll hear about or study about. And you'll hear about Martin Luther King and the March on Washington, which happened in 1963. My grandmother was actually at the March on Washington in 1963. So that's how involved she was. You'll hear people know, oh, we read about it, whatever, but she actually went there and was, when you see the crowd, she was out in the crowd. She traveled there to be there. And she always told us, you have to get involved. You have to help people. You have to be present. And that was her thing. 'Cause I remember we gave her a big, massive 100th birthday party, and I was the keynote speaker. And one of the things that I reminded the family of was, and they called her Aunt KC and all different names from different relatives, but she was my grandmother, Grandma Jackson. Wherever we were, no matter what we did, she would show up. And that's what in the family. If you went to school, if you moved away, she would always go, and she'd have her words where she'd go check on people. And no matter where I was, no matter where, she would always come and check. She'd physically come and check on me. And that was her part of, what do you need? What do you need? What can I help you with? But she'd be physically present to check on people. And I got that service from her. And my parents followed in her footsteps. And our family, with the name Givens, we're givers. So we give, and what can we, if I do something, I want to know, how can I help make it better? If I join an organization, how can I help make it better? If I see people, how can I help make it better? So that's kind of been ingrained in us in our life from Grandma Jackson, is how can I help you make it better? So that's kind of where the service comes from. But we got to get money too, because you got to pay them.
You know, as babies growing up, they're going to learn about different types of superheroes and superhero squad, you know, and you're a part of a superhero squad called the Black Lives Matter Justice League.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Do you mind sharing a little bit about that? Anything about Black Lives Matter Justice League that you'd like to share about the superhero stuff that you do?
No, but I do want to say something else that involves Black Lives Matter. Because what I mean, you're not even, baby, you're not even here yet. So I'm talking to you, you're not here yet. So in your lifetime, hopefully things will get so much more better. And you'll look back at us old people and you say, my God, how could they have lived like that? What was going on with the world? Because you can't even imagine people treating people like that. So in Black Lives Matter, the reason there's a Black Lives Matter is because people now treat people differently based on how they look, where they're from, and it's called, whether it's racism or sexism or whatever. And our culture is evolving, but it has not evolved to the point where we treat everyone with kindness and equally, like your parents treat people, how I try to treat people, how you will treat people with kindness and love. But a lot of times that doesn't happen. So there's a group called Black Lives Matter, which is, it says that Black lives, like I'm Black, our lives matter because certain government institutions like the police, they don't treat Black people with kindness and justice. And so there has to be a movement of people to force them to do that. So like I say, hopefully all this will be done and over with by the time you see this, and you'll say, my God, why wouldn't they treat people nice or treat people equally? But right now they don't. So we force them, the Black Lives Matter as an organization, to bring the issue out front and hopefully force some changes so you will have a better life.
I appreciate you sharing, answering the question even better than I asked it. So I appreciate that.
No, I just answered a different question.
So let's say baby's listening and we are in this better place where none of that exists. And they're wondering with this world that you're describing, how do you maintain that love and pride in who you are throughout your life and where you come from? How did you, Uncle Dermot, maintain and cultivate that? What would you share with them?
Okay, well, I'm not going to cry, but that's a very emotional question. But the answer is because of people like your mom and your dad and the other people who love you. They give me the same support. And that's how I'm able to maintain and keep going forward. It's a whole, like, what's the African proverb? It takes a village. So there's a whole village around me, and there'll be a whole village around you. And that's how you do it.
I appreciate that. What can baby turn to you for?
Anything.
I like that.
Baby needs a new pair of shoes.
Is there any, in addition to anything in a new pair of shoes, is there anything that you think if this might come up, I feel particularly able to answer, to step in, or to listen? Anything like that?
That's I hate that question. My answer is still the same. Anything.
I love this. We both ask questions for a living, so I like this back and forth.
Baby.
Anything. And what would you like to invite baby to think about, to consider, to do, to practice? What would you like to invite them? What's your invitation?
Well, today is February 13th, 2020. And I understand that you're due here on this earth as a living, breathing person on February 26th. Is that not correct? At the point that you're able to look back on this and get some understanding of where we are today, there's a very important and controversial, because all important people are controversial, person by the name of Kobe Bryant, who died, and maybe you'll look that up and see about the life of Kobe Bryant, Bryant. And my son was close to Kobe Bryant. And my son, again, I'm going to try not to get emotional. My son, our parent, his other father died tragically, kind of like Kobe Bryant. And my son was close to Kobe Bryant and knew Kobe Bryant. So when this happened, my son went into shock. And I asked my son this question. I said, what would Kobe tell you if you were here? And Kobe, again, he's controversial. You'll see some controversial stuff about him. He wasn't a perfect person. And I said, and you don't have to listen to the television of what people are telling you that Kobe said. What did Kobe tell you? And he said, Kobe said, when things get tough, you just keep working hard. You just work through it. And that's the advice. Like right now, we're going through that with Kobe and my son, because they haven't had the public ceremony that he will go to. So that's the advice I would give you. Is life is a lot of fun, but it gets hard sometimes. And when it gets hard, you have your parents, you have me, you have a whole village of people to turn to, but you have to work through it and keep working hard, and then the fun will come. So I don't know if that answers the question or not. That
was, I'm really feeling so much gratitude because it was personal and you were able to share that with us. So that really means a lot, Dermot. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I can't wait for us all to hang out, have a meal together, for y'all to meet.
Vegetarian.
What'd you say?
Vegetarian.
There we go. So thank you for this, Dermot. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no, I'm honored to do it. Very honored. Hi, baby.
Oh. All right. Salams, Irmina, thank you so much for being a part of this. It means the world to me.
No worries. I'm glad to do it.
So the way we want to start is if you could share your name and introduce yourself to baby, and then share what does your name mean to you, or, a story about your name.
Sure. So my name's Irmina Huck. I'm a friend of Tom and Adora's. And story about my name. So I think what's interesting is my name is actually Farsi or Persian, but my family's Indian. And so when I was born, apparently my mom and my dad's family couldn't agree on a name that they liked. And so I was nameless for 10 days because they I think back in the 80s, they let you go home from the hospital without a name. Now I don't think you can do that. So I was just baby Huck for 10 days, and no one could agree on a name. And then my aunt, my mom's little sister, calls and she's like, I have this I know this family from India, from back home, and they have all these unusual names, and their daughter was named Irmina. So you should do that. It means the path to heaven, or the passageway to heaven in Farsi. And my mom was like, all right, I like that name. There we go.
That's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. So before we even started, you had some things on your heart and on your mind that you wanted to share with baby. So why don't you just jump right into that?
Sure. So, welcome, baby, to the world. I'd say that the world is something that's full of wonder and full of a lot of amazing things. I think that you're coming of age, or you will come of age in this country in a time where it's going to be more diverse than it's ever been, and to help you along the way. I would say that what I would want for you is to meet as many different kinds of children as possible, and play with as many different kinds of people as possible, and to really kind of to take this time and expand your horizons, even though you're little.
I love that. So tell me a little bit about you're an artist. You express yourself. Tell me about that.
Right. So, I've been drawing since I was a kid. I come from an artistic family. So my mom used to, had her paintings all over the house, and paintings from her side of the family. So I grew up around art, and I think that it was always an awesome tool of expression to use. I think especially in this world where the arts aren't always given the credit that they deserve. So, but school and other things will definitely try to beat art out of you. So you have to really fight to keep it alive.
And then at the same time, you're a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind sharing? You're also though someone who uses their medical degree to serve.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about the decision you made to be intentional in doing that?
Sure. So I think that intention came from wanting to be an activist and wanting to do good in the community in a concrete way. And I think that as a physician, you just have to remember that you're here to serve, but also to remember that to also watch out for yourself as well, because if you're not well, then you won't be well enough to take care of others. But I think for me, it was really about wanting to make political change and then finding an avenue to which to do it.
So when we were catching up beforehand, you were sharing experiences of people because of society, patriarchy, racism, these kind of things, underestimating you or not seeing your full worth or seeing you for all that you bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to try as hard as we can to instill pride and leadership and all these things in baby. And also we know that they will find themselves in circumstances like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any advice or anything you can share with them for if they find themselves in that kind of a situation?
I would say, first, to remember that you are worth it and you are important, despite what society may tell you. And to remember that you may feel alone at the moment, but you aren't, that there are other people going through the same thing that you are. But, first and foremost, I think it comes back to really being proud of your heritage and being confident in that, and that your self-worth should not be dependent upon others' perception of you. But it's difficult. It's going to be hard. And I think that just knowing that you're going to have to fight going in, but remembering that you're not going to be alone in doing that.
So you and I were both Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, we strive for an inclusive Islam, or we have, I don't know what the word is. So I guess let's just jump right to this. What does Islam mean to you? You're an active. People will say to us like, oh, y'all are feminists, all these kind of things. How can you possibly be Muslim? All of this kind of stuff. For you, what is Islam? what is your reaction when people say that? Anything you want to share with baby?
I think that to me, like Islam is a heritage of mine. You know, I think I come from a family, an Indian Muslim family, and I think the society that my family came from was a very inclusive one, or should be an inclusive one. They're dealing with some issues right now. But to me, you know, being Muslim also meant like embracing diversity and tolerance and being around all kinds of different people. And I think that one thing that I really like about being Muslim is that having within Islam, having so much diversity and having so many different types of people that you can connect to, and a real sense of togetherness. And I think that that is something that I really value.
You've brought that up in the beginning and now here too. Why, if baby's thinking, yeah, my dad and my mom, everybody's talking about this inclusion and diversity thing.
Mm-hmm.
What if they're like, but why?
Because I think that, you know, your ability to be an empathetic person and to care about the world will be affected by what you see with your own two eyes. And I think that if you, for example, I think for me, like growing up in Seattle, like going to, you know, I went to one grade school that was like all white, and then I went to a different grade school that was very diverse. And I think that, you know, that experience has like stayed with me my whole life. And I think that had I grown up in a very homogenous environment, I wouldn't be able to be empathetic or relate to different types of people like I do today.
So it helped leads to empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, kids are going to say, well, why empathy? Who cares about empathy?
I think that, you know, being an empathetic person means that that you'll be able to basically do good for other people and also do good for yourself. And I think that it helps you kind of invite positive energy into your life.
I like that. I think that's going to be my universal answer. It's good for you and others.
Right.
Do it. Irmina, what can my child turn to you for or about?
Say that again.
What can my child turn to you for or about? What can they talk to you about, come to you for? What can they turn to you?
I would say, you know, turn to me to learn more about the world. I think that, you know, I've seen a lot, I've traveled a lot. I think that I can offer a perspective that I think baby can learn from.
That's awesome. And then my last question, what's your invitation to baby? What would you like to invite them to do, to consider, to think about, to become? What's your invitation?
I would say I would invite them to always see things with their own eyes, and that to not rather than believe what you're told by society, to look at things with their own two eyes.
Irmina, I want to thank you so much. I'm so grateful you're a part of my child's community and life, and I look forward to us all hanging out together and causing some ruckus.
Of course.
All right, well, I'm looking forward to seeing you at the baby shower.
All right, I will see you there.
Thank you so much. Salams.
All right, salam.
All right, DJ Ace Vedo, what's going on?
It's a going. I'm out here enjoying nature.
Where
Nice place to be. Somewhere in Tampa. I just pulled over and saw it was water, and I was like, "Oh, it's nice, little duckies and turtles everywhere." So I was like, "Might as well trees. Can't go wrong with that."
So, I'd love for you to introduce yourself to baby by sharing your name and what your name means to you, or the story of your name.
All right. Well, hello, baby. My name is Ace Vedo. At least that's my stage name. It's my last name split in half. So my real name is Cassandra Acevedo. So I thought it was cool to have my last name split in half so I can kind of like show off my dad. So my dad's last name is Acevedo. So he's a very important figure in my life. So I wanted to like rep his name as my stage name.
Oops, I muted myself. That's awesome. I think repping your dad is a highly recommended thing, baby.
Yes. I put in a little plug for you.
So you mentioned your stage name. What is your stage, and how did you find your stage?
So I got into DJing because I really wanted to be a rapper. And realized I was extremely scared to be on stage. I was holding the mic like this. I was so nervous. Couldn't do it, but I really enjoy music and I love what music does for people. So one of my good friends, Mike Larry Draw, was like, why don't you just get into being in the background and DJing, something I always wanted to do. So I got into it and I love it. It's such a good way to express myself without expressing myself because I have a hard time talking and communications are always rough for me. So I kind of found a little outlet and it's been doing great ever since.
What's your advice for baby if there's something they want to do but they feel fear around it, or it takes them really far outside their comfort zone? What would your advice be?
My advice would be start off slow. Give yourself time, allow yourself time. There's no rush to do anything. But also make sure you are pursuing the things that are fearful for you. For instance, I would have never been where I am today if I didn't cross that line and put myself out there to DJ. So it's truly, DJing has been a blessing for me and also healing. So always go above and beyond, face your fears always, but at your pace. There's no rush and no one should tell you to do anything you're not comfortable doing, but take that time to make it there.
I love that. And and maybe you might have some experience from our past interviews that we've talked of, let's say you're in a space or an industry where people try to make it seem like you don't belong here, or this isn't for you, or you're not as good as us. What would your advice be for baby if they happen to find themselves in that situation?
I think it's important to listen to critiques from people, even if it's negative. It's very important to suck that in. Because I know when I first started, I did not play well. And instead of allowing it to bring me down as an entertainer or as a person, I took those critiques in and I practiced more. And I learned more about the craft, and I went more into DJing and understanding, techniques and teaching myself how to, because it's very hard for me to build relationships with other people, especially when I have an embarrassment of feeling like I'm not good enough. So I just took the time on my own time, practiced, worked harder, and got better to the point where people contact me for help. So, and I always remember where I came from, and I make sure that I'm always, I feel honored where I'm at. I feel there's a privilege to where I am in the DJ community. Make time for nature. That's another advice to give you. Nature is home. So always make time for that. But always take those critiques in, but don't allow it to define who you are. I think that's the best advice I can give for that.
And so then on that note, how do you define yourself? How do you create space for yourself? How do you, name who you are and those kind of things?
It's easy to let outside influence, especially when you don't believe in yourself, change your mindset of who you. I know that I'm hardworking. So if someone is saying like, oh, you don't really perform well, this is not for you, maybe you should do something else. But this is something I have passion for. It's easy to allow outside influence get to me if I don't know who I am and what I want to do. And it takes time to like really sit there and figure that out. So it's okay to take the time you need to. Is the wind better here?
Yeah, much better.
Okay. I'm going to continue walking to my car, but
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you like to share with baby just from your heart unprompted? Is there anything you want to share?
Be kind to the earth. The earth is home. It's where we all grow. It's where we share space with other living beings. So it's important to be kind to the earth, kind to yourself. Your body is home. So always make sure home is aligned. So giving yourself time to be you, to be who you are, and allowing yourself space to fail. It's okay. When you have rough moments in life, those rough moments is what we need to grow as a person, as a being, and allowing yourself space to feel that. And it's okay to have moments of lowness. It's okay to have moments of high, but appreciating all those, because all of those moments are blessings. And we just need to take the time to view it as such.
I love that. I love that. What can baby turn to you for? What conversations? What do they need? What can they turn to you for?
If you need help with facing fears, I think I could be a good person, because I am so fearful in public places. Even to this day, like if I go into DJ and it's a huge crowd, the nerves that happen in my body is ridiculous. Like I tense up. I get major anxiety before shows. So I really have to take time to like meditate before, so that I don't, not overly nervous because sometimes I get so nervous, I get really shaky, and that could mess me up DJing. So I really need to take time to get in there. So if you need help with a moment that you're having, feel free to hit me up, because I could definitely help you with that.
I love that. So what would you like to invite baby to do, to think about, to become? What is your invitation?
Okay, so what to become? I didn't know what I wanted to do until late in life. So I had to have been in my late 20s when I figured out, music is something I really wanted to pursue. And that's okay. So if it takes time to figure out what you want to do, or figure out any of those things, no matter when you start, whether it's early, really late, it's all okay. But in order to figure that out, you have to face your fears to get past certain things. And it's good to try new things, as well as keeping an open mind. So keeping an open mind is very important. Very important.
Well, DJ Ace, thank you so much for being a part of this, for being a part of my child's life. I can't wait for y'all to meet each other, listen to some music, hang out. I can't wait. So thank you so much.
I just got to my car, so
that's how it always works.
Yes. Little baby, I thank you so much for allowing me space in your life to watch this video. I'm so gracious that you are watching it right now. And your dad is an awesome man. Oh, so what a blessing for you two to be in each other's lives. It's just, I can't wait to see the things that you guys do together and the moments you share together. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for that affirmation. I really appreciate that. And I'm glad we've stayed connected after all these years,
Yes. Yes, so we have.
We'll see each other on your world tour, right?
Oh, yes. Hopefully you're watching this video and I'm touring somewhere.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Peace and blessings.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. It means the world to me. I want to thank my guests from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this episode, for offering their gifts to my daughter, to Jayanma, for being open and vulnerable and honest and so gracious with their time and their wisdom. I said it to you on the call when I was interviewing, but I want to say now, thank you from my heart so much. I hope you will stay tuned for next week's episode where you are going to hear from 4 of my friends that I interviewed, and we sit down and I ask them different questions, some the same that you've heard this week. You're going to hear new perspectives, and then some new fresh perspectives that I asked people. Any feedback you have, anything you'd like to add on, any advice you'd like to share with Jayanma or me as a parent, tom@tomearl.com. That'd be so much appreciated. If you want to support the show, I invite you to become a member of the Celebration Academy. You can learn more by going to tomearl.com/courses. You can become a member for as little as $10 a month. You can support the show and get access to a ton of courses and professional development, leadership development, business development resources at your fingertips. All right, my friends, I look forward to you joining us next week. Thank you. Peace and blessings. One more thing. I'd love to continue the conversation. Feel free to join me at tomearl.com/join. Subscribe below, or let's connect on social media. Tom Earl Artist. Thanks again for watching.